As F1 was set to return, tragic news would hit the sport. Racing director Charlie Whiting died at the age of 66. This set shockwaves across the paddock as drivers and personnel marked their respects to Whiting. And I'm sure the Formula One community, in terms of fans and media, does back up what the drivers and team figures said. And yes, may Charlie Whiting rest in peace. And with that somber news, it is fiendishly difficult to stay relatively upbeat, but this is the Australian Grand Prix preview for 2019. For the 9th consecutive season, Albert Park will be the fixture for Formula One's curtain raiser in the World Championship season. Located in Melbourne, Albert Park took over the title from Adelaide as the home of the Australian Grand Prix, with its first race being in 1996. And with these modern breed of cars, it is very difficult to overtake, meaning that the show is rather lackluster on track. But of course, the track has the potential to throw up some classic races. When talking about overtaking possibilities, turns 1 is definitely one of the main parts. It starts off a chicane, but you have to get it right, and if you don't get it right, you will either spin or end up in the barriers on the exits of turn 2, like Valtteri Bottas did last season. But then a straight follows, and turn 3 is another pretty favourable place to make an overtake, despite turn 3 being a very, very tight apex. But again, it can go horribly wrong when attempting to make a pass. Now let's revisit last season's episode of the Australian Grand Prix, and it would be Sebastian Vettel taking his first victory of the 2018 season. And for the German standards, it was a poor race. His teammates Kimi Raikkonen and Lewis Hamilton, who was controlling the weekend, had far much more pace, but Vettel made the strategy count when it mattered. After getting ahead of Lewis Hamilton after the round of pit stops, it looked like it would be a race of high attrition in the second half of the race, but reliability would hit Lewis Hamilton and Vettel would cruise towards victory. Another main talking point from the Grand Prix would be the catastrophe for Haas F1. After running 4th and 5th, both their drivers had to retire due to pit stop failures. Their lack of experience in Formula One came back to bite them, and it caused such devastation to the team. This was going to be their best race to date for them, and it just went horribly wrong. And in another feature in these preview videos, I'm going to pick out the best version of the Grand Prix in the V6 Turbo Hybrid era, and for Australia I have 2016. Pole sitter Hamilton had a farce of a start, dropping way down back into the grid, and it would be Sebastian Vettel who would seize the lead as Nico Rosberg had to settle for second. However, on lap 18 the red flag would be brought out due to Fernando Alonso and Esteban Gutierrez's huge crash. The McLaren would go airborne after hitting the rear of Gutierrez's Haas, and Alonso was really lucky to walk away from that crash unscathed. That was a horror crash. Ferrari would lose the win for Vettel as they had to commit to one more stop on a slightly more aggressive strategy, which meant Nico Rosberg would take home the victory. Hamilton was second with Vettel in third, but it would be Haas celebrating with Grosjean in P6 with what was a remarkable achievement in their first ever race. But now let's wrap up this video with my predictions, and goodness me, it is so hard to pick. Sebastian Vettel has won the last 2 Australian Grand Prix, and although 2018 was lucky, he has very good form around the Albert Park circuit. Lewis Hamilton has stormed towards 7 pole positions at Australia. I mean, the guy is a machine on a Saturday, but he can't make it count on a Sunday. But then, of course, you have Leclerc, Bottas, Verstappen and Gasly, who can really get in the mix. But for qualifying, I'm going to say Sebastian Vettel will start on pole. I think the Ferrari car will just have the edge over Lewis Hamilton in his Mercedes, and I mean, it is going to be so tight for pole. Then I have Hamilton second, Leclerc third, Bottas 4th, Verstappen 5th and Gasly 6th. However, on Sunday I predict Vettel will convert pole into victory and I think Leclerc will finish in P2, taking his first podium in F1. I don't think Hamilton will have the pace on Sunday. I believe he will complete the podium, and I think Verstappen will be in 4th with Bottas in 5th. And here is a bold prediction. I believe Kimi Raikkonen will finish P6 for Alfa Romeo. And I'm going to predict who will claim that point for fastest lap, which has obviously been implemented for the 2019 F1 season. It can obviously go to someone in the top 10, and I believe Max Verstappen will get that extra point. But guys, that is it for today's video. Please like this video and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And until next time, guys, see you later.